complete our assignments, we have 2 pages of notes to look at with detailed examples we can follow. We have the page 1, which has finding percent increase on the front and finding percent decrease on the back. And we have our lesson 5.1 page 2, which has notes on using percent of change. The first type of problem we study is when we were given an original amount and a new number, new amount, and we had to find the percent of change. And that's what the first page of notes is all about. So let's take a look at the first example we had discussed. You need to take the greater value between the new and the original amount and do some subtraction. That's your amount of change. And you want to label your amount of change. In this example, it's $1.50, which is the increase in hourly wage. Then you take that value and you put it into a ratio. And you divide that amount of change by the original number. It gives you a decimal, which you then change to a percentage. Then you want to make sure you identify the percentage as an increase or a decrease, and this was a 19% increase. So in every example where you're given the original and a new value, you have to subtract, find the increase or decrease, and identify what that is. In this case, it's a price, an increase in the price. You take that value and divide it by the original amount, which is $52, gives you a decimal, which you change into a percent. So in this problem, we had a 23% increase. And we also looked at examples of decreases, where we decreased from 89 miles to 51 miles. So we subtracted to find the amount of change. We labeled it appropriately so people know what we're talking about. We take that amount and divide it by the original, which gives us a decimal, and we round it off to a percent, and we label that percentage. So here's what I'm expecting to see. This is from the page 144 assignment. I'm going to focus on number 3. Number 3 is like about books. Originally there were 86 books given to the library, and that was increased to 150 books. So you take the greater minus the lesser amount, and you get 64, but that represents the number of books that were increased. You take that value, write it as a ratio, and you divide it by the original amount, which was the 86. You divide and get your decimal. Then you change your decimal by moving the decimal point 2 places to the right, and you make a percent. And this example will be labeled an increase. So you need to finish the decimal and the percentage here. Then on your practice 5.1, you have to do the evens. You had an increase from 95 to 145. You would subtract. You will get your answer of 50, but it's not 50, it's 50 trees. They were increased by. You take that, divide it by the original amount. You make that a decimal. And then you take the decimal to 2 places to the right and get your final answer as a percent. You would label it as a percent of increase or decrease. And this answer will be a percent of increase. The second type of problem we discussed in lesson 5.1 is when we were given the original amount and a percent of change. And when you're given those two values, you want to find the new amount. And we used our notes from the second day to do problems like this. This is the grizzly bear problem we had talked about. You want to take the percent of change and multiply by the original amount. You've got to change the percent to a decimal. You do your multiplication, round off if necessary, and I want you to label what that value means. And in this case, we know it's an increase. It told us in the problem. So then we have to take the original amount and we would add it to this amount of change, which gives us our final answer. A common mistake people tell me, they say this is 581%, but we already know the percentage. We're finding the change, and we take the change and we either add it if it's an increase, or like they're at the bottom here, here's an example of a decrease, where we actually take that amount of change we get from multiplying the percent times the original, and we would subtract the decrease to get the new amount. In this case, it's a price. We call it the new price. So here's how you would do number 17 from the page 144 assignment. You would take the percent of decrease times the original number of pages that were read, multiply the decimal times the 340, you get 68 pages. There was a decrease, so it's 16 pages less. You would take the original amount and you would subtract 68 to give you the new amount, which will be what, 272 pages. That's your new amount right there. That's your final answer. So you do the same thing on the back of your worksheet. We talked about, let's see, number 18, doing the evens. So you would take 10% and you would multiply it by the original amount of points, change this to a decimal, and after you multiply, you would get 71, but that means 71 point decrease. And what do you do with a decrease? You would subtract it from the original number, and your final answer will be the new amount of points after the decrease. We'll subtract to find that.